would you do if you weren't afraid? It may seem quite dumb at first, but can be quite deep once you think about it. That's a question I often ask myself, is what would I do if I weren't afraid? And I think as far as what you're afraid, what I say if you weren't afraid, what do I mean? I mean mostly like if you weren't afraid of failure or of being judged or looked at being funny, what would you do? As far as like opportunity-wise and whatnot. It's something that I always wish that I could tell people, but I'm always too afraid. Like, just like when the going gets tough, just believe. When you're having a rough time, just believe. Believe that it will get better and that you'll succeed at what you're doing. And as far as what I mean when I say, or like, believe in what? For me, it means to believe in God and believe in what His path has been chosen for me. But for you, it may just mean to believe in yourself and believe in your abilities and what you can do. Don't be afraid, just believe is written in chapter 5, verse 36, and also 7 Bibles, like over 100, I believe. And the lesson I learned is to always believe in yourself and believe in your abilities. Okay, so the event that I'm talking about was a golf competition. And it was a couple months ago, and it took place in Silvis, Illinois, which you're probably like, what the heck, Silvis, Illinois, what is that? Silvis is actually home to TPC Deer Run Golf Course, which is a golf course where they hold the John Deere Classic, which is where like Zach Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and all these other literally professional golfers compete at during, it's in July usually, I went this past year. And so to be able to compete at this golf competition, several junior golfers took place in a clinic at their local golf course. Like mine was at Wildcat and Shell. There are different ones all over the state. And they had what was called the drive chip putt, I think I got that right, contest, where it was like you had 4 balls, you drove, and then there was a judge there who judged you on distance and how you swung and where it went as far as like landing on the driving range. And then same thing with chipping, and same thing with putting. And so when I was competing at Wildcat, the age group I was in is 14 to 15. And there was only actually one other kid in my age group. And so I just had to beat him to be able to move on, which I mean, like, I didn't really care because I was just doing it for the experience. So I ended up getting to move on. And so from there I went to the next stage was a golf course in Iowa City, and I did the exact same thing again, although like a step above where I competed before. And I was just like, I didn't really care if I made it or not. I wasn't gonna like go bawl my eyes out in the car if I really had done such an awful job or anything like that. But I did it, and I was really proud of myself with how I did. And so yeah, and I wasn't expecting at all. And then I think it was just 2 days later, I received a letter in the mail from the Professional Golf Association, Juniors Golf Association, and then saying that I had moved on. I would be competing at the one in Silvis. And I was super excited, so I was like, oh my gosh, but at the same time I'm kind of like, well, if you're letting people like me get this far, it must not be very good a competition. Because that's just how I think of myself. But anyway, and so I was really nervous because I actually had to leave. We had our first like marching band competition. It was just for like the parents or whatever, and so I had to leave that early. And so I was really nervous. I didn't know what to expect or anything, and I didn't ask my dad, like, hey, what do people wear to these? He's like, oh, it's just going to be for, like, junior golfers. You'd be fine in jeans, like a nice little polo-ish shirt. I'm like, okay, sure. So I wore jean shorts and then this, like, polo-type shirt, and it just had, like, Wildcat golf course on. I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. We can do this. I get there, and the only one wearing jeans. Everybody else there was wearing khakis and these nice, like, golfing outfits, which like I have at home, but I was like, I didn't realize I should have worn these. And then another thing that really added to how nervous I was my dad is like the main coach for me, apart from Coach Woodhouse, which is amazing, but he's the one who originally got me started into golf and everything. And I've always, like, whenever I don't know what to do, I always ask him, what am I doing wrong? You know, why is the ball slicing? Why am I not making these putts? Whatever, he can tell me what to do. And actually, he couldn't be there because he had work, so I had to go with my mom, which was fine, but she does not know anything about golf. But So we're there, and I go check in or whatever, and they gave me this, everybody got this really cool Jordan Spieth bobblehead, and I was like, oh, yes, I have my first ever bobblehead. And then everybody got these medals too. They're just like, congratulations for participating in this event, you're great, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I go, I warm up on the driving range, and all these other people have their parents or whatever, they're like, and they'll be like, keep your head down, or make sure you tuck your whatever. And I had nobody. I just had to tell myself this. So I'm like, all right, I'm screwed. That's what I was thinking anyway. And so I practiced my driving, practiced chipping, practiced putting, and so forth. And so after they like gathered us all around, they're like, congratulations, you have made it to this competition. Good for you. You guys are both. But I didn't realize this was that all of us who were competing there, were considered to be the top 100 golfers of Iowa. And I didn't know that until I like did the math, and I figured out, oh yeah, she is right when she says that. And so that I was like, that's really cool to be 100 years old. And up to age 15, and they're like the younger group is under 15. Well, just anyway. And so then we broke off when we started our first part of it, and mine was driving. And so there were 6 or 7 girls in of the 14-15, 6 or 7 boys in the 14-15, so on and so forth. So we get there, and the guys did go first. I don't know why, but they did. And so, you know, I'm watching them, and some of them are hitting at like 300 yards. And I don't really care, because I'm like, all right, these are the guys. And then it was the girls' turn, and I think I'm in alphabetical order, if I remember that right. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm not going to watch them swing. I don't want to see how their ball is or anything, because that's one of the things that coach has told us, is don't watch them swing, because it can get in your head. Change the way. Oopsie. And I was like, all right, maybe if I do it this way, I can avoid seeing how far. Before they just wrote down, they didn't say it out loud. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like turning away. I'm like, all right, I'm doing good. I'm just listening to them swing, whatever. But then they say how far they hit it, and I'm like, why? Just why? I didn't need to know that. And they were hitting it like 200 yards, something like that. And I can only hit it, like now I can hit it farther, but I could only hit, like drive 140. And I know it's really bad, and I know, but anyway. And so I'm like, great, well, okay. So I get up there, I'm like, all right, maybe I can do just like pump this. I can just, I don't know what I mean when I said that. Maybe I can get like 150. I can do this, yeah. I get up there. The first one was 129, maybe, which was pretty good. Right, but the good thing was I kept it in bounds. I was like, all right, that's good. That's a good sign. The second one was like 120 something, I don't really know. And then the other two I completely shamed. Meaning like I like hit or whatever, but it didn't even take flight. It just like rolled across the ground. I'm like, all right, great. I'm really proving my ability to these people. And they were like, and then of course they still had to say how far I've hit it. I'm like, look, I already know I screwed up, okay? And they're like, 39 yards. I'm like, great. People think I'm really bad. Anyway, so after that, after all these girls were hit, I was literally like, all right, I'm done. I'm just going to wing the rest of this. I don't really care. I'm not like I'm going to be able to place or anything. So we get to chipping, which is absolutely my worst. If you've ever seen me chip, you know that I'm really, really bad. And I literally didn't even care anymore. I was like, all right, sure, I'll wing it. But the point was that I completely counted myself out. I completely didn't even care anymore. I completely lost faith, lost belief in myself, whatever. So I did it, and there's a 5-foot circle around the hole, and then there's a 3-foot circle around the hole. And you got points for being in each one. But all of mine rolled out. Like, they would barely make it in, then they'd roll out. So I received about a point for each one, which is like the lowest you can get. And there are other girls who are making it in the hole, making it all of their balls in the 3-foot circle and whatever. And I was like, all right, great. Well, I already know I'm going to lose, so what's the point? Then we go to putting, and I was like, all right, no, I'm actually trying this way, because I'm a decent putter, I think. And I was like, all right, I can make a couple of these in. Well, I'm going to actually try on this. And I did. I think I got like 2 out of 4 of them in. Whatever. Anyway, and so afterwards I went and I saw this scores, and I realized that I had actually received the 3rd highest score, even though I didn't hit it very far. I'd actually received the 3rd highest score for driving out of the 7 girls, which I was really happy about. I was like, wow. And then, so I was 3rd rankings for my division. But after, and then it showed the rankings after chipping. And then I was like the 2nd to the bottom. And I did the math, and I figured that if I would have actually tried and made it at least, I think I would have made all 4 of the balls inside the 5-foot circle, which is not that hard for me if I really want to try. If I would have done that, I would have gotten 3rd place, which was considered placing, and then you get like this really cool, like plaque trophy. trophy thing, like there's like a mini trophy, there's like a little plaque, it's like, congratulations, you received 3rd place in your division, blah, 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 blah. And anyway, but I ended up leaving the thing early because I was so disappointed in myself, and I was driving home, and I was literally beating myself up, and I was like, I cannot believe I did that. The one thing, well, one of the things I'm like actually decently good at, I completely gave up, and I just wrung it, and I completely screwed myself because I didn't care and I didn't try, and I just counted myself out when I could have actually gotten 3rd place. I could have actually done good and like showed people, look, I'm actually decent at something. Anyway, yeah, and so but yeah, even still to this day, I constantly beat myself up about it. And I had been working with a his name's Z, but he's a pro that we work with, like the girls golf team we work with, and he comes over to the inner Salisbury, and he comes over to us, and I had like a private lesson with him one day to help me with driving or whatever, and I was doing really well, and he's like, I really want you to do this, and you can do this, you can do well, you've got this, and which was big for him to say, because he's the kind of person who's like just blunt, like if you're not very good, we'll tell you that. And I felt so bad because I'd have to tell him what my score was and how bad I did, and I have to explain myself, and but not looking back on it now, I realized, hey, that's a great lesson I've learned. I've learned to always count that doesn't make sense. Always believe in yourself, always try, always just believe that you can do it, because you can if you try. And after all, Winnie the Pooh did say, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think, which I think is really cute. In other words, just always believe in yourself. Thank you.